Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kenneth Gottlieb presiding.
Good morning. We are here on the case of the state of Florida versus Marcia Atwater, case number 20001234 MU10A. Would the attorney for the state please announce their appearance?
Good morning, Your Honor. Jane Smith on behalf of the state.
Would the attorney for the defense please announce their appearance?
Morning, Your Honor. Lauren Andrews for the defendant, Miss Marcia Atwater.
And would the defendant please announce her appearance? If you could please take yourself off mute. There you go.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Marcia Atwater.
Thank you. Bailiff, are all the jurors present?
Your Honor, they're in the jury room.
Okay. Are both sides ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it's my understanding there's two exhibits for the state, and they've been provided by email to the defense and to the clerk of court. They've been marked as state's exhibits A and B for identification. Are there any pretrial matters to bring before the court before we bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense has a motion limine. We move the court to enter an order instructing the state not to elicit testimony regarding HGN from the arresting officer, Trooper Nagurth of the Florida Highway Patrol. Trooper Nagurth is not qualified as a drug recognition expert.
Counsel for the state, do you object to this?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. The state intends to show, although Trooper Nygurth is not a drug recognition expert, he has sufficient training and experience to testify as to HGN.
Okay, at this time, the court's going to reserve ruling until I hear testimony outside the presence of the jury. Are there any other matters before we proceed to opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we move the court to invoke the rule of sequestration.
Okay, I'm going to grant that. At this time, we have picked a jury and sworn them in. All colloquies have been given to the jury. And bailiff, can you please bring the jury in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hey, at this time, do you wish to give an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just point out that my witness, Trooper Nygurth, is still present in the courtroom.
Okay, bailiff, can you please remove him to the break room?
Sure, Your Honor.
At this time, you may begin.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is going to show that on the date in question, Trooper Nygurth of the Florida Highway Patrol was traveling eastbound on I-595 in the far right-hand lane when he noticed the defendant's vehicle pass him in the far left-hand lane, traveling at a high rate of speed. Trooper Nygurth got behind the defendant's vehicle and pace clocked the vehicle going 75 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. Upon stopping the vehicle and making contact with the driver, he noticed the defendant to have bloodshot eyes, a flushed face, and she seemed confused. He asked her to step out of the car, and upon exiting, the defendant stumbled. She used the car for support. While talking to the defendant, he could smell the odor of alcohol on her breath. After obtaining the defendant's driver's license and registration, Trooper Nygurth asked the defendant to participate in some field sobriety exercises to determine her ability to drive a vehicle. The field sobriety exercises were videotaped, and you will be able to see how the defendant performed. The defendant was placed under arrest and asked to take a breathalyzer test. The defendant refused, even after being told the consequences of the refusal. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, counsel for the defense, do you wish to give an opening statement? Counsel for the defense, do you wish to give an opening statement?
Judge, we lost her on the connection.
Okay,
She should be attempting to come back in.
we will wait patiently. Counsel for the defense, are you ready to give your opening statement?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Your Honor, and sorry about that. My apologies.
It's okay. You can.
Gentlemen, the evidence will show prior to being stopped by Trooper Nagurth, Miss Atwater was at a friend's house visiting. She had one drink, a vodka and tonic, and she didn't even finish. She left the friend's house and was traveling east on I-595 in an attempt to get home before dark. She will testify she was driving at the same speed as the rest of the traffic and was surprised and became very nervous when Trooper Nagurth pulled her over. You will hear Miss Atwater was cooperative and polite and thought she had performed the roadside exercises as requested by the trooper. She will explain she did not take the breathalyzer because she had already been placed under arrest and has heard the breathalyzer is not dependable. Thank you.
Okay. Counsel for the state, are you ready to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the state calls Trooper Nygirth.
Bailiff, can you please bring in the trooper?
Yes, Your Honor.
Trooper Nygren, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Counsel, you can begin.
Please state your name.
I'm Trooper Daniel Nygirth.
How are you employed?
I'm a Florida Highway Patrol trooper in Broward County.
Please describe for us your training and experience.
I've been a trooper for 12 years. I have been to the Florida Highway Patrol Academy, receiving training in FSEs, and I'm presently assigned to our DUI task force.
What brought your attention to the defendant?
I was traveling east on I-595 in the far right lane when I noticed the defendant in the far left lane traveling at a high rate of speed. I got behind the defendant and pace clocked her doing 75 miles an hour in a 65 miles an hour zone. I put on my overhead lights and pulled the defendant over. I then exited my vehicle and approached the defendant, who was the only occupant of the vehicle.
What did you observe upon contact with the defendant?
She had bloodshot eyes, a flushed face, and she seemed confused when I spoke with her. I had her exit her car, and she appeared to use the car as support. As I spoke with her, I noticed a strong smell of alcohol.
What did you ask her to do?
I asked her to perform some field sobriety exercises to determine her ability to drive an automobile.
What were your observations of her performance of the field sobriety exercises?
On the eye exercise, she swayed while standing and she did not follow my instructions. On the heel to toe exercise, she failed to maintain her balance while in the instructional phase and stepped off the line 4 times. On the one leg stand exercise, she started the exercise before I told her to start, and she put her foot down 3 times.
Were the FSCs videotaped?
Yes, they were.
Have you seen the video?
I have.
Trooper Nygirth, is the DVD a fair and accurate representation of the defendant performing the FSCs?
It is.
At this time, Judge, I would request that the State's A be introduced as Exhibit 1.
Okay, granted.
Thank you. Judge, do I have permission to publish the video to the jury?
You can do that now.
I'm going to attempt to do a screen share, and hopefully I'll do this correctly.
I'm sure you will.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. You could begin questions.
thank you. Trooper Nygerth, did you arrest her?
Yes, as you saw in the video.
What did you do after the arrest?
I asked her if she'd be willing to take a breathalyzer test.
Did you explain the consequences of refusing the breathalyzer?
Yes, I read her the implied consent warnings.
Where did you take her after the arrest?
I took her to the main jail in Fort Lauderdale where she was booked.
Are you familiar with the defendant's booking photo?
I am.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of how she looked on the night of the arrest?
It is.
Your Honor, the state requests that State's Exhibit B, the booking photo, be introduced as Exhibit 2.
Okay, granted.
Do I have permission to publish to the jury?
Yes.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second. Can you see the booking photo, Trooper Nygerth?
I can.
Okay. Thank you. Let me stop sharing my screen.
If you have any more questions, you can ask them now.
Do you have an opinion as to whether the defendant was driving under the influence of alcohol to the extent that her normal faculties were impaired on the night of her arrest?
Yes. Based on my training and experience and my observations of the defendant that evening, it is my opinion at the time she was driving her automobile, she was under the influence of an alcoholic beverage to the extent her normal faculties were impaired.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, counsel for the defense, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can begin.
Isn't it true, sir, other than Miss Atwater traveling 75 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone, you did not see any other erratic driving or violations of the traffic laws?
Yes,
Trooper Nygerth, you testified you smelled the odor of alcohol upon contact with Miss Atwater. Isn't it true you cannot tell us the number of drinks or the type of drink from the smell? In fact, the smell would be the same if someone had 1 drink or 3 drinks.
that's true.
Has it been your experience as a civilian and police officer that people vary as to their coordination, balance, and athletic ability?
Yes,
Isn't it true Miss Atwater was polite and cooperative?
she was.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. State, are there any further questions of this witness?
No further questions. The state rests.
Okay, thank you. Bailiff, can you please remove the jury to the breakout room?
Sure, Your Honor. Judge, would you like me to remove the witness as well?
Yes, if you could put him in a different breakout room, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, counsel for the defense, are there any motions at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we'd like to motion for our first judgment of acquittal.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to deny your motion. And counsel, do you wish to call any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd like to call the defendant, Miss Marcia Atwater.
Okay. Bailiff, can you please bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it appears that everyone is back. Almost everybody. We'll keep waiting. Okay. At this time, counsel for the defense, would you like to call your witness?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. We'd like to call the defendant, Miss Marcia Atwater.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
Okay, now we have the alternate juror. Thank you.
Okay. Counsel for the defense, would you like to call your first witness?
Yes, the defendant, Miss Marcia Atwater.
Okay, Ms. Atwater, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your name.
Marcia Atwater.
Do you remember the day you were stopped by Trooper Nagurth?
Yes, there's no way I could forget that.
Where were you coming from?
I was on my way back home from work and I stopped at a friend's house to visit.
How many drinks did you have?
We both had one drink each. It was vodka and tonic, but I don't even think I finished mine.
Where were you going when stopped?
I was on my way home. I wanted to get home before it got dark.
Were you speeding?
I was going with the normal flow of traffic. I was really surprised that the trooper stopped me.
Were you able to perform the roadside exercises?
I felt that I did them very well. I did everything that the trooper asked me to do.
Why did you not take the breathalyzer?
Well, I was already under arrest and going to jail, and I asked him if I passed the test, would I be free to go? And he said no. So I didn't take it, and I also heard that the test isn't really reliable anyway.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel for the state, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, a few. Miss Atwater, you were over a friend's house visiting and drinking alcohol prior to being stopped by Trooper Nigurth. Is that correct?
Yes,
You were driving at night 10 miles over the speed limit at the time you were stopped. Is that also correct?
yes,
Trooper Nigurth explained to you the consequences of refusing to take the breathalyzer. Is that correct?
yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, counsel for the defense, do you wish to ask any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor. At this time, the defense rests.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask that the jury be sent to the breakout room at this time.
Okay, Your Honor.
We'll see you when you get back. Okay, counsel, for the defense, do you have any motions?
Yes, at this time, we'd like to motion for our second judgment of acquittal.
After hearing the argument of counsel, I'm going to deny your motion at this time. And we can bring the bailiff, if you could bring the jurors back at this time.
Sure.
Welcome back, jurors. At this time, counsel for the state, would you like to present a closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you may begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence has shown that on the date in question, Trooper Nigurth of the Florida Highway Patrol was traveling east on 595 in the far right-hand lane when he noticed the defendant's vehicle pass him in the far left-hand lane, traveling at a high rate of speed. Trooper Nigurth got behind the defendant's vehicle and pace clocked the vehicle, going 75 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. Upon stopping the vehicle and making contact with the defendant, he noticed the defendant to have bloodshot eyes, a flushed face, and she seemed confused. He asked her to step out of the car, and upon exiting, the defendant stumbled, and then she used her car as support. While talking to the defendant, he could smell the odor of an alcoholic beverage. After obtaining her driver's license and registration, Trooper Nygarth asked the defendant to participate in some field sobriety exercises to determine her ability to drive a vehicle. The field sobriety exercises were videotaped, and you have seen how the defendant performed. The defendant was placed under arrest and asked to take a breathalyzer test. The defendant refused even after being told the consequences of her refusal. Thank you.
Thank you. Counsel for the defense, would you like to present your closing argument?
Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence has shown prior to being stopped by Trooper Nygarth, Miss Atwater was at a friend's house visiting. She had one drink, a vodka and tonic, and she didn't even finish it. She then left the friend's house and was traveling east on I-595 in an attempt to get home before dark. She has testified she was driving at the same speed as the rest of the traffic and was surprised and became very nervous when Trooper Nygarth pulled her over. You heard Miss Atwater was cooperative and polite. She also stated she thought she performed the roadside exercises as requested by the trooper. She explained she did not take the breathalyzer because she had already been placed under arrest and heard the breathalyzer is not dependable. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have read you the jury instructions. You have heard all the evidence and have been instructed on the law by the court. You may now retire to the jury room to consider your verdict. At this time, if the bailiff can send all the jurors to the jury room, with the exception, of course, of the alternate juror. Thank you very much.
Okay, Your Honor. Your Honor, let me bring the alternate back. I think I sent him.
Well, he can, yes, okay.
I'll put him in a waiting room.
Okay, at this time, I've been notified that the jury has reached a verdict, so we can call them back. If you can bring the jurors back to the courtroom.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, I have been advised that the jury has reached a verdict. At this time, I'm going to ask the foreperson, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
And what is your verdict?
Zoom trials can work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And at this time, we'll be in recess until tomorrow's case.